Manga has always been a bottomless font of creativity. If you look long enough, you can find just about everything turned into a Japanese comic. Sometimes it's an isekai where someone gets turned into a hot spring, or a vending machine, or their superpower is Minecraft with mods. Maybe it's using trash as a weapon, or it's a Barbie-sized android from the future, battling monsters, battling digital monsters, battling robots, Lovecraftian entities as older sisters and girlfriends, high school girls with 80s horror-themed weaponry, every kind of sports contest you can think of, from figure skating to tennis, inline skating, to pushing each other off of a floating platform in a pool with ass sumo. There is no bottom to the pit that is manga creativity. And in December of 1999, Ultra Jump serialized a short 30-chapter series written by Hideyuki Kurata and drawn by Shutaro Yamada. A story about people with the dumbest sounding superpower that turned out to be wildly strong, and the bibliophile who wields it. This is Read or Die. As the manga ran until 2002, an anime would be created by Studio Dean, with the first 3 episodes being an OVA that aired from May 2001 to February 2002, so it was a slow release. Anime starts off with something weird happening at the White House. A Japanese man with electrical powers is attacking. He asks about a library that he seems to be looking for, and then the opening credits roll. The score is very spy movie inspired, but elsewhere, buried under a pile of books, is the hero of this story, Yomiko Reedman. She seems to have gotten an urgent phone call, but based on her reaction, it's good news. Saying Yomiko is obsessed with books is an understatement. She'll spend her money on more books before she'll spend it on food for herself. But our first hint that she's more than she seems comes with a peculiar elevator ride. In this underground bookery, she has a run-in with another important character who will be introduced later. Back on the street, she's so engrossed in her new find that she doesn't even register the carnage caused by a swarm of wasps until it literally knocks her off her feet. That's when we get our first look at her incredibly dumb and incredibly powerful ability. With a wave of her hand, she forms a shield out of paper. Yomiko is a paper master. She can make bulletproof walls and blades that are sharper than surgical knives by willing it into the paper. But these wasps, they're not just nature being nature. It's all because of some weirdo riding a giant grasshopper, and he wants her new book, but she's not about to let him have it. With a mildly comedic finish, a man approaches her. She calls him Mr. Joker, and he calls her Agent Paper. I know, not the most inspired of spy names. But it's now time for some plot development. The electric guy from the intro went to the Library of Congress and caused some pretty severe havoc. They ID the attacker as Genai Hiraga, a Japanese polymath and ronin from the 1700s. Famous for writing many satirical works of fiction, including a book quite literally titled On Farting, but also famous for, and as displayed in this series, his invention, the Elecator, a static electricity generator, as well as an explanation that a bunch of historical figures had their genetics stolen from a genome archive. Even in anime, government data centers are prone to leaks and theft. Shocker. But someone is making super clones with this DNA. The bug guy is ID'd as Jean-Henri Fabre, a French naturalist, etymologist, and author of the 1800s, though the objective of the super clones and stealing books remains unclear for now. That's where the organization Yomiko is a part of comes in, the British Library Special Operations Division, like MI6, but less cringe, more well-read, and with superhumans. Joker contacts the second of the 3 main characters of this leg of the story, Drake Anderson. While he's not a superhuman, he is exceptionally skilled in special weapons. I mean, he's American, of course he's going to be skilled in weaponry. They're sent to the library for what I guess is CSI, and Yomiko runs into the other important character again. She's the 3rd main character and member of their squad, introducing herself as Miss Deep. She doesn't seem to like Yomiko much, and her special power is that she can phase through matter. Soon after, Otto Lilienthal, the German father of aviation from the mid-1800s, attacks. He grabs Yomiko's book and flies off. They chase after him to New York, and Genai is there. Yomiko pulls out a giant paper airplane, and the ladies are thrown into the sky after Otto. You may have noticed by now that the animation for this OVA is beautiful. It's a level of animation you really don't see much at all anymore. But by the time the fight is over, Miss Deep seems to have warmed up to Yomiko and actually introduces herself. Her name is Nancy Makuhari. The OVA packs a lot of story into 3 episodes, and the mains have a level of depth you wouldn't expect from a series that so few people would have seen for the time. Even more so because it was roughly 1 episode every 3 months until it was done. Yomiko's obsession with books is to the point of recklessness. Nancy has more than a few secrets to hide, and Drake acts like a guy who just wants to retire and be a family man, commenting more than once about wanting to spend time with his daughter. And the other historical characters included are the American inventor Stephen Wilcox, Genjo Sanzo, who is based off of Tang Sanjiang from Journey to the West, and frickin' Beethoven. And while this 3-part story is a complete one, even with a tragic end for Nancy, if you want more, there's more. From October 2002 to May 2005, Kurata's 4th work, that would be both a spin-off and a sequel, Read or Dream, would publish through Ultra Jump. Then from September 2003 to March 2004, a full anime would be made by JC Staff, Read or Dream, the TV. A full 26-episode series starring Anita King, Maggie Mui, and Michelle Chiang, who are known as the Paper Sisters. This anime opens with Nenene Sumiregawa being picked up at an airport by Michelle, who clearly doesn't come off as the sharpest knife in the drawer. Maggie is also there as the driver for the client. Presumably all this happens in or near Hong Kong. But when the sisters get Nenene to her hotel, it promptly explodes. And whoever attacked left a note and clearly hates her. But she's dealt with this kind of danger before and refuses to cave to the threat. And Michelle offers the sisters to act as protection for Nenene. They take her home to their detective agency, where the door promptly falls off under the sheer weight of the book hoard, under which is buried the 3rd sister, Anita, who is very different from the other 2. Sometime during the night, Nenene leaves. Then some exposition is had, and if you watched Read or Die, you'd probably guess it's about Yomiko. The following day, Nenene's hater shows up with an IED, taking her hostage. Then the sisters act. Anita turns paper into blades, Maggie turns them into constructs, and Michelle goes full Bowman. And after seeing the sisters are paper masters, Nenene confirms that she was in fact talking about Yomiko, but the 3 haven't seen her before. And just when you think the danger is past as Nenene is returning home, turns out there were 2 writers who were after her. Now she's stuck on the plane with the 2nd, and once again, the sisters come to the rescue, with Maggie being the coolest character. They land in Japan and even manage to park the plane without wings. The sisters are hired on as bodyguards by Nenene's editor. They impose themselves on her, and that goes about as well as you would expect. The following day, Nenene meets with her editor for some character development, and things get dumb. And they kind of stay dumb, because the sisters are kind of dumb. Except Anita, but she's like 13. And it does get better because actual plot happens eventually. But the immediate plot is how Nenene keeps dropping books off to Yomiko's nest, and she almost has a meaningful conversation with Anita. Then actually begins the introduction to the greater plot after Anita is enrolled in middle school. An unknown man is shot in the school library, and the attacker is a kid who seems to be working for Joker. But he doesn't seem to like being called that anymore. Meanwhile, Nenene has wandered off, as she apparently does from time to time, so the sisters are on unpaid vacation, which means they need work. Turning to an organization called Dokusensha, they're sent to Romania for a job. This also supplies us with some backstory for what happened between the OVA and TV series. And of course, the job is a book retrieval. The main plot builds slowly, as the first half deals mostly with micro-stories. It's got 26 episodes in total, so there's plenty of room to stretch it out, with the real plot creeping forward every time Mr. Carpenter, as he's called now, shows up. Also, Drake shows back up. He seems to be playing bodyguard for a British woman that Dokusensha is after, and they've hired the Paper Sisters to capture her. but the fourth sent by Dokusensha makes the event a whole lot worse than it needs to be. Then a kid who's been shown to be working with Mr. Carpenter and seems to have the ability to phase through matter shows up and makes off with the MacGuffin that everyone was after. And everything shifts when the sisters and Nenene return to Hong Kong. Nenene's editor has been working with Carpenter the whole time, which also has to do with the things Dokusensha has been collecting. They kidnap Nenene for their project, but the Paper Sisters aren't just going to accept the L. It's only episode 12 and Reader Dream really picks its moments to up the action, with the rest of the series being rather slow and deliberate. It's not a bad story by any means, it's just not action-packed. There's a lot of character development with Nenene and the sisters, more than what's actually necessary for the story, but it helps to make the girls likable, especially with Nenene, who's kind of a bitch until she starts to warm up to the sisters. And by then, we've already been given ample exposition into who she is, and that a portion of her hostility towards the Paper Sisters stems from her unresolved relationship with Yomiko. When I first watched this series, I saw Reader Dream before Reader Die, and it was at the same time I was watching Ghost in the Shell. They both gave me that sense of espionage and intrigue, but Reader Dream is significantly less exposition heavy than Standalone Complex was. Still nowhere near as much of a novel as Mao Yu, that story couldn't stop being a novel even as it was turned into a manga and an anime. Reader Dream just felt like it knew when to show and when to tell, with all the drama of a spy thriller that it's clearly trying to imitate. And in Act 2 of the series, the plot is laid out in full, what the entire first half of the show was all about, and even a bit of explanation on some events from the OVAs. Yomiko and Nancy even show up again as the plot quickens. And by the end of the series, there are no lingering plot threads or unanswered questions. The R.O.D. story is an unconventional spy thriller that the West could never imagine or replicate. Genetically engineered superhumans, megalomaniacal autocrats trying to save the world, protagonists whose whole lives have been a lie, and just the right amount of comedy to keep the story from being too heavy or stale. And while Reader Dream's animation quality falls very short from the kind of effort that was put into Reader Die, it has a much stronger and more compelling story, one about identity, the Paper Sisters, Yomiko and Nenene, Nancy and Junior. And while the animation shows for its age, especially for a JC staff production, the rest of the show is evergreen. A solid plot, engaging characters, mysteries that eventually get answered. I could see Reader Dream getting a reboot with modern techniques, but I genuinely don't think it needs one. It's kind of like Cowboy Bebop in that way. Any attempt to replicate it that isn't a one-to-one visual remaster would just be more disappointing than the OG series. And that's the story of the Paper Masters. I am the NBT. This has been the Noble Weeaboo. Like or don't, sub or don't. R.O.D. is like a good book. It'll catch your eye for being a bit different from the rest on the shelf. You'll pick it up out of curiosity or boredom. You'll be drawn in by the content of the characters and find yourself lost in the subterfuge of the plot. And once it's over, you'll feel a sad but satisfied sense of closure. Then you'll put the book back on the shelf. And some years later, you'll remember it. You'll see it sitting there, dusty and untouched. You pick it up, brush off the dust, and read it like it was the first time all over again. Thank you for watching.
The paper's in her heaven, and all is right with the world.